Hey everybody, this is Avi Harkishan from Charts. Today is Monday, February 16, 2026. I almost thought it was Sunday for a moment there because I don't know, for some reason I thought it was Sunday. Anyways, I'm gonna try to make this as fast as possible so you guys don't have to be hooked on a video for like 30 minutes or so. So let's go over some ETFs that we cover here in the Discord. So I'm gonna start with VIX. First thing you want to know about VIX is that VIX is trading in a major supply zone at the moment, which is this key level here is 2044 to 2183. Every time we get up to this level here, the stock, not the stock, but the index or the indice tend to sell. So we are approaching this key level here. Again, we're trading within this range. So we are in that broadening wedge pattern. We're holding, keep forming higher lows. And now what used to be a resistance level has turned into a support level, which is at 1774 to 1870, 1870 area. So what we can see happen going forward, so you got to be very careful because volatility is kind of high right now, is that you can continue to see some chop maybe, and then a break to the upside. That is very much possible. Just be careful. Your range that you're trading in is this 2044 to 2183 as a supply zone, and your support is this uptrend in white or key levels here as 1774 to 1870. That's the range you're trading in at the moment. Every time you go into that resistance level, VIX tend to get sold. Whenever you come back down into this support level here, or at least you're holding this trend over here. So that's what we're looking at going into this week to see whether or not we're going to continue to bounce off of this support level and continue to make higher lows, or whether or not we're going to break this level. My bias is that we're going to continue to hold this trend line here and continue to bounce up into this resistance level here for VIX. And as you can see, we broke below on SPY. This is daily chart you're looking at on SPY. We had a 5-wave move to the upside. Let me just correct this for a moment. That's wave 3, wave 4, and you had a wave 5. And you had an ABC pullback, which was right here. This is your A, this is your B, and you had your C wave. I still think your C wave, you're going to come down a little bit more because you have to have that C wave. Well, I don't want to say you have to have that C wave, but I think it's very likely come down and have that C wave that retest that 771 to 671 to 661. So this here is the level I'm currently looking at for SPY. I think it's very much likely you'll come within this range, but on the 4-hour chart on a lower time frame, going into this week, it's very much possible you're going to see some sort of chop within this range. Every time we come down to this level here, which is a 675, if you look at it on the daily chart at 675, price continually get supported at this level over here. So we are watching 675 very carefully to see whether or not we're going to get a daily close below that level or what's going to happen. So your range here in SPY is that 675 to 689 area, which is right on top here. That's the key level we're currently looking at for SPY. If you come down here, okay, this is that range right here. This could be your A wave right here. So anywhere between fib extension 1 to this daily support of 661, you could come all the way down to 653. That's an extended wave, but I think it's somewhere within this blue box that we have here. So this is the range we're looking at. Let's take a look at. Let's take a look here at QQQ. Okay, here is QQQ. QQQ actually have more of a bearish look because you have a rising wedge. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move to the upside that you've had on QQQ. And here you are, every time you come down to this range, you came down, you broke the rising wedge, you retested the rising wedge, and you're breaking again in higher volume. You're seeing buyers trying to step in every time here. And this level continually, price continue to bounce. So this is a level you really want to pay attention to, 594.51. As long as you're holding this level, you don't want to really short it. Everything you come down here, price tend to bounce. But we are having that retest of the break of the rising wedge, with some volume coming in on the selling side of it. But just be careful. But if you break this level here, so your range really is that 617 to 694. That's your entire trading range because you're stuck in that range at the moment here until either you break to the upside or you break to the downside. If SPY is to break to the downside, it's very much possible that QQQ is also going to break to the downside. And if you're looking at the 4 hours chart, it's kind of looking a bit bearish as well because here you have an ABC pattern, A, B, C, and now you can have a WXY to the downside, a double correction if SPY is to have that. And it's possible you're going to break this 580 if you're to have that. What I'm looking at here is you want to make sure that this level hold. If this level failed to hold, it's very much possible you're going to see some break to the downside or retest this 580 level all the way down to 568. So that's what I'm looking at. Still bearish. Still could see some downside move. Nothing is out of the woods yet. Let's see here. There you go. So yeah, you can see some pretty big drop if you start breaking these level here, daily support on 4 hours and so forth. So still bearish. Your trading range again is this daily support at 594 to 617. Let's take a look at IWM. So IWM, it has more of a bullish setup, but there's a possibility of an ABC or WXY playing out. You do have an ABC here. You broke the rising wedge. Let's look at the daily chart for a moment. So here you go. You have a rising wedge. You broke below the rising wedge, and you are retesting the bottom of it right now. What we're looking for is whether or not you're going to get a high volume sell at this retest where it starts breaking below this 258 level. If you're breaking this 258 level, very likely you will come down and retest anywhere between 250 to 244 level to complete this WXY over here that you have. As long as you're holding this level here from above here, that retest, which is around 258, you want to stay out of shorting IWM. But if you start breaking these key level here, very much possible you could come down and retest 250, this green box over here, and fill this blue box that we have here, which is 244. The trading range that we have for IWM right now is this 258 all the way up to 268. That's your trading range that IWM is bouncing. Let's take a look at some stocks really fast. GDX, which is gold miners. We're not entirely sure about this one here, whether or not you're going to get an ABC pullback, but I'm keeping an eye on this one here. You have high volume selling right over here, distribution. So if you take a look at this very carefully, you kind of have like a rising wedge pattern playing out here. And you could have like a retest and a breakdown. But we're not entirely sure whether or not it's going to play out, but we're keeping an eye for a rejection anywhere at 107. If you get a rejection at 107, then you could get a C wave that play out, which is going to be a pretty big pullback. So we are currently looking at that. I'm just cautious about this one here. But I have it on a watch list to take a look at. Let's take a look at Apple. So for Apple, what we're looking at right now for Apple, if whoever's in the Discord, we have called Apple at the shorting, Apple at the top here. I said this is a good position right here, a good place to enter puts in Apple. We had an ABC retracement. We are retesting the top of a sell zone right over here, and it looks like we want to continue because you've had a 5-wave move to the upside. So regardless what the case is, we've had a 5-wave move to the upside right over here, and usually after a 5-wave move you got to pull back. So your pullback would be either correcting this entire move right here. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame really fast. You're going to be correcting this 5-wave move in Apple right down towards this 251 before you see bounce to the upside, or you're going to see continuous selling that not only correct that move, but you're correcting a bigger time frame, which is this low over here in April. So one of them is going to play out on Apple, if you start breaking, give me a second. If you start breaking key level here on Apple, which is this bottom here at 244, it's very likely you're coming down to 225 for this WXY. So Apple still remain bearish, but you're looking, what we're looking at right now is this key level over here. We're looking for any sort of bounce within this level here. This would be your key level for Apple. If it is to bounce, that's where it's going to come down and bounce. If you break below this 244, you're coming down to 225. So anywhere here, you can see a bounce. So what that would look like if you're looking at a WXY pattern, WXY pattern consists of two ABCs. So you'll see an A, a bounce, rejection, and a C wave that completes the Y wave. So this is something you'll see on Apple. So we're still kind of bearish in Apple, but you can see a bounce right here for that B wave. Let's still take a look at AMD. Okay. So we've been calling this WXY pattern to fill this bottom here for a long time. So I still think we're going to come down and fill this gap here for AMD. Currently, you're seeing rejection right off of 220 to 227, continually acting as resistance. You have this gap. I think very much possible you can have an ABC wave fill, come up here to this gap, get rejected, and then come back down to fill this Y wave at the bottom for AMD. This is what that looks like. Still a bit bearish in AMD. Still think you got lower. Still think you got some lower price to come down to. This would be the path that we have for AMD. Let's take a look at Amazon really fast. You could just screenshot this if you're looking at a screenshot. And you can just save it. Now for Amazon, Amazon is approaching. We've called Amazon the WXY all the way on top here. We talked about the sell-off for a while now, and that has played out as well. So we got a lot of forecasts here that played out, including Amazon. So as we're hitting the bottom here at the Y wave, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. We're in that fifth wave, where now we're expecting a bounce on Amazon anywhere within our blue box. We have a gap at the bottom here, so I think you're going to fill that gap, and then you can see a bounce back to this 209 area here. You do have a gap on Amazon here as well. You have a few gap as well on Amazon. So you could start filling maybe some upside gap once you come down to our blue box. You could see some of these upside box gaps get filled. But right now, very much possible you start to see some bounce within this area here in Amazon. This would be our area. Anywhere within our blue box. So that's going to be the gap at 198 and 193 all the way down to 180, around 170 something to 180 something, somewhere within this range here for Amazon. So be careful. We're approaching our blue box, which you can see a bounce on Amazon here. For Google, we're looking at Google right now. The pattern is quite interesting in Google because you could be forming a head and shoulder pattern here in Google. What I don't like on Google is looking at the weekly chart. I think it's a weekly chart where we're looking at for Google. The weekly chart, if you look, is signaling some intense selling pretty much on top here. And you can see a retest of the bottom of this trend all the way down to 270. If you start breaking this 292, 293 level, you reject this level, you're coming down to 270 to retest this level here, at least on Google. Weekly seems pretty bearish in Google, but I think you could see a head and shoulder pattern play out here in Google. So we're going to take a look at it to see whether or not we could get something like that to play out for the head and shoulder. Let me see if I could find that pattern right here. Okay, there it is. So it's very much possible you can see that left shoulder, and you can see this head and shoulder pattern play out. See what I'm talking about? So we're looking at Google right now to see whether or not, here's where you're going to find a rejection is this is a weekly resistance at 227. If you get a bounce within this 299, 300 area, you can see a rejection off of this 327. So that's your range that you want to pay attention to. And you could come back down all the way at this 200 EMA as you're crossing over here at 270 area for Google. Pretty nice setup here for Google. If you get a bounce and rejection on Google. Let me see another one we're looking at. Okay, Meta continually, we've been calling Meta since the top here. We call Meta the downside in Meta. So I think you're gonna get some upside here on Meta. You have this A wave that you're in right now for Meta. You have a daily gap at the bottom here. You could fill this gap, which is at 626 to 618. You can come down. You have this retest level here. So you come anywhere within this box, here. I'm going to set that as a blue box, or a target zone. So you come anywhere within this box and fill this gap, and you can see a bounce up to anywhere between 681 to 704. And you can continue to get some downside all the way down here to fill these gap. And if you use our fib tools here, fib extension on a WXY pattern, there it is, 529 area. So I think very much likely anywhere within this area here, 570 to 506 would be our downside target for Meta. For Nvidia is quite a tricky one. We're trying to figure out Nvidia, but I think you could get some upside here in Nvidia right back into this 195 to 202 area, and then you have a sell-off back down in a WXY pattern to retest this 153 to 140 area. What we're looking at right now, it was 184, keep acting as a pivot level where every time price goes to 184, it keeps jumping up, or it breaks, it comes down. So it's trading within a range of 195 resistance and 170. So your trading range in Nvidia is 195, which is resistance every time price goes up here. As you see, rejected right here, rejected, rejected, rejected. So you have 4 rejections. And at this area here of 170, you have price bounce right here, price bounce right here, price bounce right here. So you have 3 rejection at the top, 3 rejection at the bottom. What we're looking at right now. But if you're looking, let me see here. Give me a second. Let me go to my other chart. So yeah, so that's what we're currently looking at, is that I'm looking to see whether or not price is going to come down and continually reject this 184. And if we get price come down and reject this 184, you can see a break to the downside. So that's the range you're trading in. We're still biased to break to the downside on Nvidia. So we'll see what it does. For Tesla, Tesla here, quite tricky as well too. We have a wave 3. Well, forget the wave for a moment here. We had a 5-wave move, or wave 3. Don't worry about that. But we see a ABC pattern to play it out, and then we can see a WXY pattern play out to fill this gap at the bottom here. So Tesla's at a very tricky place right now. Let's take a look at the other chart for Tesla. Let's look at the weekly chart for Tesla. So Tesla is currently retesting this high on top here, which is the 50-day moving average, EMA, right here. So it's very, this level, 383 level, 50-day moving average is level you really want to pay attention to. If you start piercing and rejecting this weekly EMA, this 50 EMA at 380, very much likely you're going to be coming back down towards this 315 area. So which is, let me see if I have that up on my chart here in Tesla. Yeah, so right around this area here, which is this 356 to 322 to fill this gap over here. So if you start piercing through that weekly 50 EMA, you're going to be coming down here for Tesla. So Tesla broke below this range, and you're currently retesting it. So I want to see a little retest right here. It's 453, and then that breakdown on Tesla. That will be your possible case scenario on Tesla. For Bitcoin, we still see a little bit more downside of Bitcoin here. Buyers are showing some strength, or they're at least attempting to push price up. But you can see a continuous rejection here at 75,000, and then a bit more downside. So that's why I'm hesitant in taking any trades, long side trade with any cryptocurrency related stocks at the moment. Palantir. Right now for Palantir, we have a target where you can see a bounce is anywhere within this box here. You're approaching some some buyers area where you tend to see some sort of a bounce, which is a retest area anywhere between this 131 to 101. This is the area where you can see a possible bounce that come down here, retest this maybe 248 level, 250 level or so, anywhere within this 242 to 255 level, and continuous selling markdown. There is a gap let me see if I could find it here. There is a gap at the bottom here at 46 to 42. I know I might be sounding a bit crazy, but it's very much possible that Palantir fills this gap on a markdown, and that would be pretty crazy. That's a crazy call to see happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does. So very much possible. But for right now, we're looking at this blue box where we can see a possible bounce anywhere within this blue box over here right now. Let's put this over here as a possible support level, which is 105. So you can still come down here within the blue box area, and then you could bounce. Rivian, on the hourly, we could still see some sell off here. I want to see that $15 level hold in Rivian. On the daily time frame on Rivian, it still looks like it's in some accumulation. Even on the weekly, still looks like in some accumulation, and you can see some upside, but I want to see a retracement that can hold that $15, $16 area and continue to push the upside. Once we can get above this $22 area and you hold this level, I think Rivian is going to be blasting off. SOFI, still have the bottom here. I think SOFI is coming down to $17 to $14 area for SOFI. For coin, one thing I talked about is whether or not Bitcoin is going to continue to hold or not. And we do not know what Bitcoin is going to do, but it still looks like it wants to come down. So what I have for coin is a possible bounce here, retesting this level right over here, somewhere at this level here. Okay, let's do resistance. 240, so you could come anywhere here, 240, you continue to break the upside with the C wave, which is a WXY move to the downside. So I'll be careful trying to buy the dip too soon on any one of these stocks. Let's do MSTR. Careful with MSTR because of Bitcoin as well. You've completed a 5-wave move to the upside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. You're currently in retracement right now. You had an ABC to the downside, and the C wave had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move to the downside. So you can complete that move, or you could be very bearish and you could do something very, very crazy. Let me see if I could find it. I posted in Discord the other charts in MSTR. MSTR. There it is. And you fill this gap here at 64. If you start, because if you're rejecting this 200 EMA at 180 something here, or this point of control, so you can do something, and it really depends on what Bitcoin does. You could be very careful. You come up here and you continue to fill this volume gap at the bottom here. There's something to be careful with. So don't be in a rush to long any one of these. For Netflix, take a look at Netflix. First thing I want to do for Netflix is that I'm currently in a log chart. So on the log chart for Netflix is that this is the trend you're currently following, and you're hitting that trend right here, and it's moving in an ABC or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave to the downside. So on a log chart, you're currently retesting a key level here for Netflix, which is right over here at the 618, which is 61.30 something. So you can see a possible bounce here for either you complete a wave C and you start creating more high, but I don't think so. I think it's a wave 4, and you're going to come down lower to 61 something. But if you remove the log chart and you do a linear chart, this is the trend that you're holding right now, which is all the way to the bottom here. So whatever the case is, I think you're coming down to around $61 or so for Netflix. So that will be our target for Netflix, at least for now, which is anywhere within this 75 to 31, $60 area. So anyways, that's what I got. Hopefully it was helpful. All right, guys, take care. Bye.